Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche, and this week I want to talk to you about how to attract bluebirds in the winter. Bluebirds are beautiful and they brighten our backyards with a splash of color, especially on bleak winter days. And that's right, it is possible to attract them here in Michigan and keep them during the winter months, as well as other northern areas where you might think um, bluebirds are completely gone during the winter season. But there are um, definitely places where they stay year round in backyard habitats or nearby. Um, and it's possible you might be able to attract them to your backyard if they have stuck around in your area. So bluebirds are partial migrants, meaning that some of them do migrate, especially down to the southeastern United States, while other individuals do not. They stick in their breeding territories year round. And they are also unique in that they migrate during the day rather than at night, like most migrating species. And sometimes they only go a few miles or just far enough to find the resources they need to survive the winter. And they also, some individuals migrate in family groups. So I wanted to talk to you about what you can do to attract and provide good quality habitat for bluebirds in the winter. First of all, you can provide the correct habitat structure. Bluebirds prefer open areas with lots of perches. So having a yard surrounded by trees and shrubs, having some open woodlands on your property, especially areas with sparse understory and ground cover vegetation is helpful. And they often utilize old fields, pastures, hedgerows, lawn areas, as well as forest openings. Second, you can provide natural shelter by leaving snags, which are standing dead trees, especially those with cavities, and keeping like dead tree limbs or dead tops of trees, as long as it's safe to do so. Those are good places for nesting and for roosting in the winter. And you can encourage woodpeckers, and their excavation activity creates more great cavities for your bluebirds to use. Third, you can provide artificial shelter in the form of nest and roost boxes. So you can leave your nest box out all winter, and it may get used by bluebirds at night or in severe weather situations. So I'm showing my eastern bluebird box here in Michigan. That's the species I'm showing you today. Of course, you'll want to make sure you've got the entrance hole sized appropriately if you're more likely to have western or mountain bluebirds. Fourth, you can plant native plants. This is my favorite, of course. That's why I do native plant sales at the store. Bluebirds eat fruit, and that's a big staple in their diet over the winter. And so one of the best things you can do is plant native trees and shrubs, and that's native to your local area, that are well adapted and will help provide natural food resources in the form of berries and other types of fruit. So species include cherries like black cherry, sassafras, hawthorn, native honeysuckles, native mountain ash and native roses, junipers, dogwoods, sumac, hollies in the genus Ilex, serviceberries, elderberries, hackberry, even vines like wild grape, poison ivy, Virginia creeper, the wild raspberries and blackberries, blueberries, chokeberry, highbush cranberry and other viburnum species, bayberry in the genus Myrica, All are good planting options to help support your bluebirds in the winter. And then, of course, they eat a lot of insects, especially hawking, so perching and waiting and sort of pouncing on the ground from low perches. They'll feed on insects, and that's an important food source for them in the breeding season through fall. And so, of course, you want to have native plants in order to have good populations of native insects to feed your bluebirds as well. Fifth, it's important to provide water. Fresh, clean, and unfrozen water will certainly attract bluebirds. Mine love my heated bird bath, and they're especially attracted to moving water. So during those months where you have above freezing temps, adding a fountain or a dripper during those warmer months can also help attract them. And to learn more about the importance of water in winter to birds, see my Monday with Martha number 89 post from last week. Sixth, you can go chemical free and avoid or at least minimize to the greatest extent possible the use of pesticides and other lawn chemicals within your backyard habitat. Because bluebirds eat insects gleaned from the ground surface, especially early and late winter when temps are a little warmer in the 40s and 50s, and those chemicals can bioaccumulate in the birds, through the insects on the ground, and so it's helpful because of their ground feeding habits. If you can just avoid using those chemicals and avoid contaminating their potential food resources. And seventh, you can offer supplemental food resources. So of course, mealworms are key in getting their attention and drawing them into your bird feeding stations. But they will also eat suet. I've found, especially on cold, snowy days, sunflower hearts, peanut hearts, and fruit, and as well as those things mixed into seed mixes, seed cakes, and seed cylinders. So you can offer these items in ground or elevated platform feeders. Covered feeders with ample perches are nice because they help keep the snow and ice off of the food. You can use barrier guarded or enclosed feeders that have restricted openings. A certain size opening, 1.5 inches, is what you want to aim for the eastern bluebirds, to help keep out the aggressive invasive European starlings and keep them at bay, because they also really like mealworms and sunflower hearts and things like that. So I just wanted to share some footage of eastern bluebirds using different types of feeders and eating different things. There's one taking a suet nugget out of a window tray feeder. Here's a male eastern bluebird, surprisingly hanging on very, very easily to the pileated woodpecker feeder I have hanging up for suet. There's a female doing the same thing, so they can make use of these larger woodpecker feeders and seem to prefer this one over my smaller ones. Must be easier for them to balance or land. And then here's the barrier guarded feeder I mentioned. This has mealworms and suet nuggets in it, and it has a perch accessory added on, and they just love that feature. I added that this winter, and they can pile on and figure out where they want to go into the feeder. You can also just take, this is our diner feeder. I pulled the plexiglass out and put mealworms and suet nuggets in there. It's covered, it helps keep the mealworms dried, and is a favorite way to feed the bluebirds as well. A seed log or cylinder feeder works great. This is, I think, our shell-free medley, so it has some peanut splits, but mostly sunflower hearts and a little bit of millet. And they go crazy over this one, or other seed logs that have fruit and mealworms and sunflower hearts. And of course, having a heated bird bath is a great way to get to see them. Putting it right up next to a window is a lot of fun. You get to see their antics and see them up close and personal. It's a great way to watch them in the winter and provide them with a great resource. So I hope those 7 tips help you and you are able to attract bluebirds to your backyard in the winter. Take care and have a good week.